had so much fun talking to today's guest, Viktoria Capek, who is a journalist, Swiftie extraordinaire, and author of Dear Reader, an immersive literary journey through Taylor Swift's lyrics. Viktoria took everyone's favorite hobby, analyzing Taylor's lyrics like they're sacred texts, and made it into a whole book. We nerded out about Taylor Swift's storytelling genius, Easter eggs, and the behind-the-scenes process of writing a book that's basically a love letter to Taylor's art. Dear Reader is available for pre-order now. In this episode, we're going to dive into the magic of Taylor's words, the inspiration behind Viktoria's book, and what it was really like bringing Dear Reader to life. Let's get into it. Viktoria, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Home. This is actually the first time we've met. We are strangers. And I reached out to Viktoria as soon as I saw about the book. And then the second I announced that I was interviewing you, the response, like, so many of my friends were fangirling.
Oh my gosh.
So
I always have to ask because I do so many, like, niche things within the community. Mm-hmm. Are they fangirling on, like, the Swiftie side?
Hairpins.
The hairpin side.
Oh my gosh. Hairpins.
Okay, or it's like, or I have, like, the news side or the TikTok side.
I was like, oh my god, I'm interviewing a local celebrity.
No, that's so exciting. No, I love being able to connect to so many different communities, so it's really fun.
Yeah, so tell me about hairpins first off.
Oh gosh, hairpins.
Just because that's where most of my listeners, know you from.
I love that. So hairpins is a lesbian event pop-up series that my wife and I, newlyweds.
Yes, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
You just got married.
Literally like 2 weeks ago today. It's been crazy, a whirlwind. But yeah, we founded it because we were like, we are missing a queer women's community and we don't have something like that in Arkansas. So we started doing bar pop-ups. Now we have community-friendly, all ages pop-ups, and it's just kind of expanding. And we were also nominated as one of Arkansas's best of for Best Gay Bar, which is crazy because we're not like a physical bar space.
I know, I had to like do research. I was like, wait, where is this bar?
Right. So we were like gagged over that, and we just think it's so fun. And it just kind of like shows like we're making an impact on the community. And that's just kind of what it is a space to connect with other queer women and build that community.
Okay, well, I am so excited to talk to you today, especially about Taylor Swift.
Yes.
And this is perfect timing because some news just dropped yesterday.
Yeah.
When we're filming this, it dropped yesterday.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Taylor Swift owning her masters?
I think, like, first and foremost, it's always kind of a shock when she comes out of the blue. Like, she's kind of, I wouldn't say she's been in hiding. We've seen since Mother's Day a couple more pictures of her, like, being out and about.
She's
been on dates, and, like, you know, we've seen her at, like, a couple of restaurants and stuff here and there. But, boom, first post in 6 months, 7 months.
I could count the days if I was a crazier Swiftie.
Right. And so, like, to me, that was always kind of like, oh my god, Taylor posted, what does this even mean? So that's my immediate thoughts. And then, of course, I am in a group chat of Swifties that were from my original Dear Reader class, and so they're actually the ones that posted the letter that she wrote on her website, and I was like, what is going on? So I went and read it, and my two immediate thoughts were, one, the photos she posted and the words she wrote, it just sounded like Taylor to me. And that was something that I feel like through the craze of, like, especially the end of the Eras tour, I felt like we were missing what felt like the real Taylor, in my opinion, because I very much see her as, like, Taylor Swift the person, Taylor Swift the brand, but my understanding from her now being able to buy back her masters is she really had to milk Taylor Swift the brand to make that money and go own her music. And so I was just elated to, like, see her and feel that kind of, like, joy and excitement. And I loved the aftermath of everyone posting, like, the freedom to be able to listen to, like, Rep TV or Reputation original again, and Better Than Revenge, and
I did something bad.
Yeah. I know.
Without feeling like I did something bad.
Literally that. Yeah, no, that was my gym album this morning. I was like, yes, I can feel, like, guilt-free. The other side of it, though, was like, okay, rest in peace, Reputation Taylor's version. Are we getting that? Everyone's favorite, like, era and album.
That we've been clowning for?
I know. So, that we're not even going to discuss
Were
the
you clowning, by the way?
Yes, I was. Of course I was.
And
we did pick pay for the Showtime Extra on Paramount Plus.
I did the free trial, and then I found out you have to have the whatever Showtime, and I was like, I don't know how to do
a
this.
little too much. So we're not going to discuss that part of things. So a whirlwind of emotions, but mostly just I love the excitement within the Swiftie fandom whenever something like that happens, and then to see the news this morning that all of her original albums plus her re-recorded albums were actually charting in the top 100, and this is the first artist to ever have that happen.
I didn't even see that. You're breaking news to me.
Yeah, so there's my News Anchor days coming back in full swing for you. So seeing just kind of like, I love seeing her successes like that in a way that's like, that is breaking ground for artists everywhere, what she's been able to do, and it's exciting. Yeah,
it's so exciting, and it's crazy. Like you said, she was just in hiding for so long.
Yeah,
and then to have her write such a long letter. But yeah, Reputation.
Yeah, I am.
We have to talk about that for a second because she's only recorded a quarter of it.
I totally get it though.
Yeah.
I've actually been thinking about Reputation a lot in terms of like what the era was, and like she put it into words so beautifully about like that was such a specific time in her life, and it was honestly, if you think back, it was a very traumatic time in her life. Like I can't imagine. Some of these songs, you know, you are like, okay, so when we think about when she was recording Midnights and recording Would've, Could've, Should've, and how, of course, all of us theorize that came out of re-recording Speak Now and Dear John and like the potential connections between there and like the emotions that like that album brought up. I can't even imagine what re-recording Reputation during that time in her life would bring up. So I'm really glad she said that. I think that we're going to have like a second of like boohoo sadness if for some reason it didn't come. But I also think that she's a mastermind and a trickster, and maybe she's just saying that to be like, JK, Rep TV's coming out like next Friday.
She wants us to shut up and stop clowning.
Pretty much.
She saw us clowning and she was like, hey, listen.
Also, I think she's like, stop clowning about that and start thinking about TS12. I mean, there were plenty of Easter eggs
12
in
eyes.
12 Eyes, and the whole like, the like symbol that she had at the top of the letter. People are like, this is, you know, this is different. This is
new
an
era,
Easter egg.
new
Exactly.
album,
Like, it's looking very like, they were saying Gatsby, which would point back to Rep TV, and you know, all roads lead back to Reputation if you try hard enough. But I'm gonna try and set my sights on the future and TS12, which hopefully in my brain is Karma. So we'll see.
So you're a Karma truther.
Oh my god, I'm a Karma truther.
We could talk about that all day.
Yes,
I am too.
the Lost Orange album.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I have plenty to say on that.
It was such a traumatic time, like you said. Yeah, I'm hoping that I'm actually kind of excited because I love, like she said, why mess with perfection?
Yeah.
That's not exactly what she said. I'm paraphrasing. But I hope we get a re-release of Reputation with the vault tracks, potentially a double album, because she said they're going to be fire.
Yeah.
So we know there's vault tracks.
It's also just kind of like, we knew there would be vault tracks, but for her to say it, I'm kind of like salivating a little bit. I'm like, oh my god, please release them. I want to know what they are so badly. And like those vault tracks being potentially what the Karma album is. I think that there's going to be a lot in store, especially now. Like she has the freedom to just like create again. She doesn't have this burden over her, and that is such a win for her. That's a win for artists everywhere who are fighting to own their own music, and that's a win for every person who's like ever been a fan of her and a hater of Scooter Braun and all the bad guys who shit on her, basically.
Yes. Voldemort. Okay, so now let's get into your book, because you have a book coming out.
I do.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
So it's called Dear Reader, an immersive literary journey through Taylor Swift's lyrics. It's coming out September 9th, thanks to my wonderful publisher, Watkins Publishing, and a huge group of people who put a lot of love into it, including Holly Farndell, who is the beautiful illustrator for the book. We haven't given away a lot of the looks of things inside the book, except for a quick flip through where I had an unboxing of the book.
I saw that.
And I didn't bring the book today because I don't want to give it out to too many different people beforehand, but the illustrator is brilliant, and she really put so much care and beautiful color into this book to make it such like just a joy to even look through before you even start looking at the words. Like, it's exciting just to see how colorful and joyous and just pretty the book is.
Mm-hmm.
But the book is based on a class that my partner and I started teaching in spring of 2024, so last year. It's been a whirlwind of a couple of years, and it basically just goes through the literary references and comparisons and kind of ways of writing that we found in Taylor Swift's discography, her music visuals, her videos, and all the ways that we can understand genres of literature and devices of literature that we're seeing in her music and comparing it to how it's used in classic literature, like The Great Gatsby, Romeo and Juliet, Wuthering Heights, and all of these books that we grew up reading.
Love that. Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
All the classics.
Very, like, sitting by the fire kind of reading, and it really gives you that, like, cozy feeling on the inside, too, and you get to experience it in Taylor's music and in those books.
That was the other way my listeners knew you, was from this class.
Yes, yeah, that one doesn't surprise me. I had an amazing experience teaching the Dear Reader class. It had a surprising amount of people really be a part of it. It was a hybrid class, so it was super cool. We got to see people in person every week for 10 weeks. First for the literary version of the class, and then in the fall we did a film version of the class, which was kind of the brainchild of my partner. She has a film background, but both of those were hybrid. So we had our in-person core group of people who were so dedicated, came back every week, really brought the discussion, but then we also had an online version of the class as well, who got to participate over Zoom, and that was super cool because just for the literary class we had students from over 14 states. Which I think is like kind of crazy that they would tune in and then they would go back and watch the recordings. We had like a Google Classroom discussion board that people would go on and like answer like pre-questions and post-questions and like really get into things. And
it's like a Swiftie's dream.
I mean, honestly, I was gonna say, I was like, this is like the readers and Swifties are like the core group audience to be like, hey, I'm going to open a classroom setting for you and make you do homework, and they're like, oh my god, yes, give us more. And yeah, it was super cool. And then for the film class we actually had an international student as well, so we ended up reaching Dear Reader as like a brand, an international audience, and it's just so cool how far and wide Taylor's impact has gone and how we can bring together community through it.
Oh yeah, I even thought about going to Taylor's concert, overseas because it's cheaper.
Yes.
But I didn't.
Well, on the next Eras tour.
Yeah, did you get to go to the Eras tour?
In Atlanta, I did, yeah.
Oh my God.
So April 30th, 2023.
Best night of your life.
It was,
other than your wedding.
I don't know. Like, I bet Whitney and I would both probably say Eras tour was, like, very high up there. We had floor seats. So the second that we saw those, like, cloud things, I was sobbing. I literally was, like, bawling like a baby, and she looked at me like, you're crazy, and I'm like, but she's right there, like, that's crazy. Yeah, it was really good.
Oh my god, I'm breathing the same air as Taylor.
That's literally it. Yeah. And like 40, 50, 60,000 other people, totally not COVID friendly, but like so thrilled about it.
Okay, so your Swiftie origin story. How old were you when you fell in love with Taylor Swift?
Oh, goodness. I would say when I really fell in love with Taylor had to have been around 15. So like entering into high school. I definitely had my like experiences with her beforehand. My fun fact that I like to throw out is when I was 11 years old, I went to Hershey Park, which is an amusement park in Pennsylvania, and they had this thing where you could go into a recording studio and like do like a recording of a song, and you would get to take a CD home of it afterwards. I still have that CD. I should have maybe brought it. But I did a recording of You Belong With Me when I was 11.
I was actually told about this.
Oh my god,
I was gonna bring it up.
No,
yeah,
okay,
so
yes.
You're bringing it up for me.
So that is, I guess, technically my, like, origin story, and, heads up, glad Taylor's the singer and I'm not. I'm definitely gonna stick to, like, the writing the words, not singing the words.
Same.
Not my path, but when I really started to feel her music and get her music, I would say it was about the time I was heading into high school, 15, which would have been 2010-ish, and entering into her Speak Now era.
I was going to ask, do you remember what lyric it was? Was it in 15?
Yes. No, because
No.
that would have been Fearless. So I would say Better Than Revenge was like a song that I really, really liked. So I was a certified like emo kid in high school, right? Like I was a theater kid, but also an emo kid, which is kind of a little bit the same thing. It's all about the drama. Yeah, and I can see that for like anyone.
I missed out.
Anyone who's like a reader now,
yes.
I feel like you had a little bit of angst like back in the day, and so. I was really into Paramore. Paramore has always been my favorite. I've seen them live 5 times. I have like tattoos with Paramore lyrics. And so Speak Now was kind of her. And she's even talked about this. I'm so glad when she like re-recorded it. She came out saying that like, I love it. Her and Hayley Williams. But Taylor talked about how like Fall Out Boy and Paramore were like big influences like for this album, and I think that really struck true to me. I could see that when the album came out.
Haunted,
because
for sure.
Haunted, definitely, but then like Better Than Revenge kind of had this like misery business sort of feel to it. If you know the misery business, Yes. And so I always loved that song. There was the lyric, she's not a saint, she's not what you think, she's an actress. And I actually, you know how you could like name Facebook albums? I have a Facebook album named that lyric, because also I was like in theater and I'm like, oh my god, I'm an actress. Taylor wrote this about me, which is not a good thing to say at 15. That song is not the like best thing to have written about you, but
you're jamming it now that we can, right?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely listen to that on the drive over here.
I love those videos. I've just been scrolling through and everyone's jamming out.
So good. Specifically that one. But yeah, I would say Better Than Revenge was like a very Misery Business-esque song that really pulled me into that era. And I was like, yeah, I like this girl. She has some like emo angst about her.
She's got some grit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Petty queen.
Throwing those chairs
during
tour.
I love Angry Taylor.
Those videos are hilarious to me where it's just like, girl, who pissed you off today? Because we knew a lot of people were doing it. But her throwing those chairs is absolutely hysterical because she's just so lanky and she's like, as an also lanky girl who's 6 feet tall, I'm like, I get it, Taylor.
Representation.
Yes.
No, I love, this is so exciting that you're even just like bringing up things that I will reference and everyone around me is just like, what?
Yeah, no,
this is like my dream come true.
Having someone on the like deep Swiftie level, it's there's nothing like this kind of banter. I totally feel you.
It's such a sense of community being a Swiftie. That's what I love.
Insiders, always. Insider jokes.
Yeah. So, was Dear Reader always the working title, or did you have something else in mind?
Immediately, Dear Reader was what we wanted to do. And I say we because, like, especially when the class started, my wife was a very big part of it. She was always the other Swiftie who I could do this with. She designed all of the graphics for the class, and while I was the one that, like, curated and taught the material, she was always the one to say, like, hey, well, what about this idea? Or be the sounding board listening to them. So I always want to say, like, Whitney Butler, thank you for, like, everything that you have done with Dear Reader. But, yeah, we immediately were like, this is the name of the song. Especially, it made sense to us. It kind of helped us build the first lesson we ever taught for Dear Reader, which was about Taylor Swift being an unreliable narrator. And I don't want to give too much away because I want people to, of course, get the book and see for themselves. But Dear Reader as a song, we kind of saw it as almost a thesis for where Taylor was at that point in her life. We really resonated with that song, and we feel like it was very underrated. A lot of people didn't get it. Also, it was like, it's so beautiful.
The lyrics.
It's also like, it's just very... It is a very haunting song, and she has a lot of, like, sad girl TM songs, but, like, it's very kind of like, okay, yeah, girl, like, you are going through something, and to us, it was always just her being like, go find something else. Like, go, you should find another guiding light, but I shine so bright. And we kind of, like, took that as, like, a thesis of her being like, I know that you want to find answers from me about who and what this entire thing is about, this discography, my music. You want to ask me, but I can't give you anything else. This is artwork. Like, go find someone else to make an analysis of it. Go turn to yourself and make an analysis of this work. And that's what we were doing with Dear Reader from the start, was making analysis and finding literary analysis in her text, whether it was through the lens of like classic literature or analysis in some other sort of way. And so immediately it just stuck double because it was, about classic literature, but also it was just this idea of go find someone else to find meaning in these lyrics. If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
that's
makes
so
sense.
Yeah, so immediately it was a given.
So, what was the writing and research process like? Did you revisit Taylor's discography, and did you revisit it in order?
So I have a website that is pinned on my phone, on my laptop, and it is literally Taylor Swift Lyric Searcher. That is one of my top websites that I go to. We're just going to show right here. This is my favorite Taylor Swift lyric search reference. This is my favorite website that I visit frequently. And it's...
I think I've visited that before.
You probably have. I feel like we probably all have as Swifties and Easter egg hunters and everything like that. So a lot of the research process would really start with hearing a word or hearing a phrase, talking about it with my partner or talking about it with another Swiftie, taking it to that website and seeing, where does this show up? In what context does this show up? Why is this word showing up? That was one key component of how we started building the classes and the content, and what went into the book as well was basing it off of words. Like, why is Taylor using this specific word over and over again? That's something I want to know. Another part of it was I am a big literary nerd and theater nerd and just kind of like book lover. I always have been since I was a little kid, and so a lot of these classics are texts that I have revisited into my adult life as well. And so when I would be listening to her works, I would notice something that I was like, oh, hey, like that really reminded me of this thing in The Great Gatsby or in Rebecca. And the one that kind of sent me down the rabbit hole originally was a reference that I think was an anti-hero to the importance of being earnest. And at least what I saw in Anti-Hero, I talked earlier about the kind of my obsession with Taylor Swift the person versus Taylor Swift the brand, and I think that the Anti-Hero music video really kind of portrays that. And there is this concept in The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde, again, big theater person, so this was one that really stuck out to me, called bun burying. And the concept of bun burying is something that people in his play would use as a tactic to kind of be two places at once. So in the play, you have a character that references a sick friend named Mr. Bunbury. And if he had to go take care of Mr. Bunbury, that was basically giving him an excuse to be somewhere else. And so it kind of is this idea of, again, getting to be in two places at once, getting to be the, like, sick caretaker so you can get out of your like social obligations, but then really what you're doing is you're shenaniganing and you're like, being a fool somewhere else to get out of your obligations. And so that idea of the two places at once is kind of what struck me when I saw her Anti-Hero music video and I saw the two versions of Taylor kind of living a life in my head, in my opinion. And so that was one that really took me down the rabbit hole of like, oh, is there a connection to Oscar Wilde and The Importance of Being Earnest? Okay, well, I know that Taylor has direct references to things like The Great Gatsby and to The Crucible and to Romeo and Juliet. If she's making these direct references, maybe let's like look into these lyrics a little bit more. And it was a lot of Merriam-Webster definitioning of, what is an unreliable narrator. What is bun burying? Exactly. Yeah, literally. You actually just see a picture of her face next to that now in the Merriam-Webster. But it was a bunch of different paths. I don't have one way that I did it. I definitely didn't go by era. I don't even reference all of the eras in my book. One of the things that I skipped over entirely, and I don't think that this was on purpose, but in the book I don't talk about the Reputation era at all, which I think really goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Ever since yesterday, when Taylor made the announcement about Reputation kind of being that really raw emotional era that she hasn't been able to re-record, it really kind of struck something with me about maybe why I wasn't able to find any direct references in that era. I think it truly was one of those purest eras for her. Reputation was all about the emotion. It really was all about what she was experiencing at that time. And so I could see how it wasn't necessarily something that was curated to fit any sort of literary scheme or have all these references, because it truly was just her in that moment.
It's just reputation.
It was just reputation. No explanation.
No explanation.
So that kind of really was a little bit fulfilling to me to hear her say that, and it made me feel better about like not including reputation in the book, because it wasn't something that was created for the literary mind. It was created for Taylor to get her feelings out at the time.
Well, and do you have the Tortured Poets department?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, it seems to me like maybe when she was revisiting Reputation, that was a lot of the inspiration for some of the songs behind Tortured Poets department.
Totally.
And that album has so many literary parallels.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
So.
There's a lot going into that. The biggest one that I focus on in regards to Tortured Poets department in the book is a deep dive into Frankenstein, actually. And getting to talk about, I know that there was a lot of theories even before the album came out about connections to Frankenstein, and so I'm glad that it rang true. Even going as small as like the song I Look in People's Windows. I don't deep dive into this, but just the reference of when the creature is looking into the DeLacy family's window and just seeing them getting to be a family that interacts. That one moment in that book embodies the entirety of I Look in People's Windows. We'll never know if that was on purpose or not, but I do think that there's probably a lot of influence. And a part of what I get to talk about in the book is I think this battle between Taylor being Victor Frankenstein and being the creature, and how the Tortured Poets department is literally a back and forth battle of those two things.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
That's amazing. I have to take your class now.
Yes. I'm going to have some pop-ups, so you got to be on the lookout. Yeah.
So other than Antihero, did any songs take on new meaning as you studied them more deeply?
Definitely. Also, excuse me, eating this wonderful cookie
Sorry,
that you
I
made
just
me. No.
restarted the
No, I love it. Let's go into it. I think Taylor would appreciate someone eating cookies during an interview about her as a cookie baker.
Taylor
Yeah,
Swift
exactly.
today.
Exactly. So I'm about it. Definitely, I would say this actually even goes back to the class. The very first class that we taught, again, being about the unreliable narrator, someone brought up the song Tolerate It. And I had only ever listened to Tolerate It through the lens of like, I don't know, to me, Tolerate It always sounded like being a queer person, to me, that sounded like what rings true for like a little kid pining after their parent, wanting their attention. That's what I took it as, like a queer person, because I'm like, oh man, I relate. I don't want you to just like tolerate this like life that I have and my sexuality. Like I would want you to celebrate it, right? That's how I took it. I'm not saying that that's at all what Taylor wrote about it, but when we started talking about it in relation to the unreliable narrator, someone in the class brought up, well, could Taylor be posed as an unreliable narrator, someone who might not be telling the truth about the story she's telling, in Tolerate It, because she's describing a manipulative relationship, right? So if you really think about it, the person she's singing about in the song is someone who is really messing with her head, is someone who is not being honest with her about where they are in the relationship or where they are physically, and it's really messing with her. And so that could manipulate someone's mind and thinking into the story that they're telling others. And I was like, whoa, like that is not a lens of that song that I had thought of before. So that was one that I really kind of like reframed my thinking over. Another one would have to be Slut. Right, so we talk about slut in the book. There was a whole chapter on like feminist literature and writing, and of course, like there is a section talking about the song and reclaiming the word slut. When I first heard that song too as a vault track, I was kind of like, okay, this is catchy, but I'm like gagged. Like to me, it a little bit was like, girl, get a grip. Like, why are you so like, we're gonna get dressed up and they're gonna be looking at us, and this is why you listen and you re-listen and you really like analyze things, because that song is not at all that. Like,
it's very blank space.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
and she's talked about that song being an alternate for Blank
Mhm.
Space. She wasn't sure if she wanted to put it on the album, but the song is very, it's like kind of sarcastic, and it's very like petty of her because she's pissed off. She's like, they're gonna be looking at us anyway, but guess what? We're gonna go out, and they're not gonna judge him. They're gonna judge me. So I'm gonna look my best. You can come along too, sure. And I was like, oh, that's so good, and that honestly is like so powerful. I'm glad I got to write about it in that means, and also too, I'm just I'm glad that she, in her maturity, chose to release that song, because like a woman's sexuality and just existence is still something that's so taboo and like not what people want to talk about. Hello 2025. And so I'm glad that she gave power to that word and to people who feel that way about being judged as a woman through that song.
I have this theory too that we would not have been ready for those vault tracks in 2014.
Girl.
Like, they came at the right time. And they hit so hard.
There's a lot of like, I love hearing the vault tracks, and I do really want to believe that they are songs she wrote at the era that they came out. I think
at least the notes.
Right, I was going to say there's probably
together.
some like modern influence in it, but
there's Jack Antonoff.
yes, oh, very much so. But just thinking about songs like I Can See You, I'm not going to lie, that song makes me giggle. Sometimes I had someone once tell me that that song sounds like someone writing about sex, but they have never had sex before.
Yes, it's so like little kid trying to be mature.
It really
I love
is.
it.
So it makes me kick my feet. I love that song. Like, I love it. But I'm definitely like...
Of the time.
Yes, it really much is like just young her, and so I love getting to like hear the lyrics, but then it has this mature sound because it's grown up Taylor, and I love the dichotomy in those vault tracks.
I do too. So what's one of your favorite metaphors or lyrical devices Taylor uses?
Ooh. I would say lately I've been like super impressed by her use of the double entendre. God bless TikTok and just like all of the things you get to see on there, because one of the most recents I saw was, I don't know how I could listen to Maroon in any other way than just the like 80 times she sang it as a surprise song in the Eras tour, but the double entendre that someone pointed out in Maroon, where let me think of the lyric really quick. The lyric that was mentioned was the lips I used to call home. And the way that could be read as the lips I used to call home, as in like someone else's lips that she called home, but they pointed out instead of used the lips I used to call home. And like how that changes the meaning of the lyric from someone else leaving to her leaving. I don't have like a very deep thought on that. That was one that just, when I hear these like double entendres and like different analyses that people can make of her lyrics, to me that is one of the like most impressive and smartest things that Taylor is able to do in her writing. And I think it's just another reason that it opens doors for us to be making this analysis, because at the end of the day, it's artwork. And so yeah,
art is subjective.
It is. And so that's one of the coolest things by far, I think, that she does across her discography.
So back to the book, what has the early reaction been like?
Very, very exciting. I think, one of the reactions, because not a lot of people have been able to see it, right? I mean, I have been working with a whole team, which is a whole just like different kind of like, I'm having a little like imposter syndrome moment experience, because I have my Watkins publishing team and my marketing and publicity team. They're all based in London, which is super cool and Taylor appropriate, of course.
So Taylor coded.
It really is. I was like, this is perfect. But we have a handful of them who are Swifties, or they have like friends who are Swifties, and the way that like, yes, it's a book that they're working on and they obviously want to like hype up the author, but they have truly been so excited about working on this, because they're like, we've seen other books with like similar content. I think recently there was like a Harvard professor that released a book on Taylor Swift and literary analysis, like cross-examination, because they're also teaching that class at Harvard. But the difference between Dear Reader, my book, and those books is, one, accessibility, right? Like, this my book is not written like a textbook. Theirs is like a classic kind of like, there is this analysis and there is this analysis and this is why they go together. Dear Reader is a journal. So while I am giving you my analysis and what I see in The Great Gatsby and in the song Dear Reader and in other Taylor tracks, I am asking you to write down what you see in this lyric. And I am asking you to write down what you feel when you hear this lyric or when you see a comparison between Wuthering Heights and the song Ivy. And so I think accessibility is a really big one. And they've been very excited about that side of things because there aren't any books out there that are saying, oh, like, what do you make of this lyric? But also, here's all this background to go into it. It's a lot of talking at you about, these are the things that we see. And it doesn't leave any opportunity for a consumer to be involved in the conversation.
It's like TikTok, but in a book.
Kind of. And it's also, again, just going back to my incredible artist, Holly Farndell, like, her illustrations are genuinely so pretty to look at. This is also something, too, that is going to hit all ages. It's going to hit older people. We do talk about books like The Bell Jar that have very mature just experiences in it. Stuff that maybe a 12-year-old doesn't want to read, but because it's also split up into chapters that you can maybe go through in like a book club or in a classroom, there are chapters such as the coming of age chapter that you could talk about with a 14-year-old who loves Taylor Swift. And that also double time gives you the opportunity to introduce them to books like To Kill a Mockingbird, which are now banned from classrooms. Mm-hmm. So it gives you a lot of widespread opportunity to reach a lot of audiences, whereas other Taylor Swift narratives and books haven't given consumers that opportunity to have a seat at the table.
What do you hope Swifties and non-Swifties alike take from your book? Because Swifties are going to be giving it, to their non-Swiftie friends.
Of course.
Being like, they need to be a Swiftie.
Exactly. I hope, the biggest hope I find, or let me trace this back, the biggest hope I have for Swifties and non-Swifties in regards to reading my book is that art is subjective. You said it a little bit ago, and I think that it's kind of a major thesis of the book. It is a journal and it is an analysis. Again, it's a lot of my opinion in the book, but I did create a lot of opportunities for, again, people to go in and make their own analyses and answer questions about how a certain lyric makes you feel, or what memory do you have of this book when you were reading it for the first time. And I think it's just a really good way for people to talk about Taylor's artwork in a way that is healthy and treating it like artwork as opposed to diary pages that are about a certain situation or time or person in Taylor's life.
Yes,
so
thank you for saying that.
That is a really, really big kind of message I try and get across in the book. And I can't remember if I wrote it in there or not. But in the classes I taught, I was always very big on preaching. This is a no muse class. There is no talk about, no names named in the book about any specific relationship or person, with the exception of saying, like, Taylor's bestie, Jack Antonoff. I think we are all on board with that one. I think like that's an okay one.
That's a man that's not going anywhere.
Exactly, exactly. And so because I don't, she said it herself, like, stop paternity testing my songs. Like, this is artwork that I'm putting out from the depths of my heart, and I really try and embrace that in this book by asking you to think deeper than a name you think a song is associated with. I'm asking you to look between the lyrics and ask, why is she writing this way, not who is she writing this about? And so that is maybe kind of like the top 2/1 merged together thing I hope anyone who reads the book takes away, is that this is an opportunity to see that art is subjective, Taylor's art is subjective, and you should be maybe looking at it as more of an artful thing than just a line or a lyric that she wrote down out of grief from a breakup or going into a new relationship.
I always like to say that Taylor is her own muse. It's
100%.
not about the guys.
Yes.
She's her own muse, and the music is about her.
There are so many songs,
and
too.
who she is in these relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are so many songs, too, where, like, if you really start to look at it, like, you could see the song written from the perspective of her talking about a transformation she's going through. I wish more people would look at, if you're going to subscribe to Muse Theory, which we're all guilty of it, right? We all talk about it in private.
It's fascinating.
It is. Like, you do want to talk about it. Like, we're just humans, of course. But if you're going to publicly subscribe to Muse Theory, make Taylor the muse of her own artwork. I 100% agree.
So if Taylor herself were to read your book, which I really hope she does, what would you want her to feel?
This is going to sound very parasocial of me. I also did write a whole book about Taylor Swift's lyrics, so parasocial, we done past that one.
Yes,
so I do just hope she feels seen as an artist. I kind of maybe sound like a broken record right now, but that is truly what I believe. I hope she feels seen as an artist because she is truly one of the most brilliant, if not the most brilliant writer of this generation. And again, I don't want people, and I don't think she wants people and her fans and just everyone in the world to just minimize her work that she puts her blood, sweat, tears, and billions of dollars into.
Billions.
To a man or a person or just anyone else. I hope she feels appreciated as an artist, more so than just a writer putting words on paper. Not that the words she is writing aren't the most incredible words ever, but an artist who has really thought about the whole product from start to finish. Because when she says she's a mastermind,
she is.
She is. Truly, you have to think about the coherency of all of her albums, of all of her eras, and the artistry of having an entire era and committing your entire personal and public life to that era.
And that's storytelling.
That is storytelling.
I always say about Tortured Poets Department, she did not have to be that vulnerable with us.
No, gosh, no. I mean, and even just kind of thinking back to the Midnights era and the dichotomy of her glitter sparkle outfits and this 1970s house theme that she had. That is all artistry, and it's something that I really try and look at and pay attention to. I know I'm not unique in that. There are other very special Swifties out there who do that too, but that's what I would hope she would see is I, as a lover of art, love her artwork, and I want other people to be able to love it as well, which is why I wanted to write this book.
I was thinking about separating the art from the artist, and can you not? But with Taylor Swift,
I think she is.
We can hold space for the person and the art.
Yes, that's a beautiful way to say that. Yeah, because
we can't do that with Kanye. But
no, gosh, no. That's man, this is 2 days in a row that Kanye has come up, and I'm this is we can not good.
No, we won't talk about him. Okay, are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
I think so.
Okay, there aren't too many.
Okay.
I know I've had a lot of questions. Okay, favorite Taylor Swift Easter egg of all time?
I'm going to go literary, and I'm going to talk about her reference to William Wordsworth in The Lakes. Should I give away what the actual line is?
Yes.
Okay. In her lyric...
Or if it's in your book, you don't have to.
Okay. I'm actually going to keep it a secret. I'm just going to say she does reference the father of the Romantic literary movement in her song The Lakes, and I think that is her most impressive Easter egg by and large.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Do you listen to the podcast Taylor Watch at all?
I don't.
I listen to them, and they're big fans of The Lakes.
Are they?
So
yes.
That's the only reason I know anything about The Lakes.
A stunning. It's such a good song. Maybe one of my faves.
It's one I slept on, but...
Yeah. It has
it's
time. It'll come back around.
Yeah. Okay, go to Taylor Swift album when you need a mood boost.
Reputation.
And
now it's a guilt-free Reputation listen, so...
First Taylor Swift song you ever fell in love with?
You Belong With Me. The one I recorded in Hershey Park.
Oh, love that. What a time. What a time in life. Was that 2007?
Simple. 2008.
2008? Oh my gosh.
Babies.
It's been so long. Okay, most underrated Taylor Swift lyric in your opinion?
Okay. Maybe controversial.
Mm-hmm.
Better Than Revenge, Taylor's version. I really like the lyric change.
Do you?
I do. He was a moth to the flame. She was holding the matches. I think that's underrated because everyone likes the original line. Everyone likes to scream it. I get it. I do too. Again, now we can do it guilt-free. But I think the way that she was able to seamlessly make a metaphor that still fit what she was talking about the song, fit the vibe of the song, and within those lyrics, also showing her growth and respect for what the lyric intentionally and originally meant. I think that's so impressive. And I think that is a really good representation of her artistry as she has matured. So that's my answer.
Yeah, I love the growth. Favorite track 5?
1, 2, 3. Let's go, bitch.
Delicate.
It's Delicate.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's mine too.
100%.
Well, I say that Cold as You is also, that was my first favorite Taylor Swift
Deep
song.
cut. Yeah.
Yeah, throwback.
I love that.
But yeah, I love Delicate. Okay, favorite Taylor Swift era and why? That's hard.
That is such a hard
It's an
one for
impossible
me.
question.
I'm probably going to say I would have different eras for different reasons, but my instinct, the ones that come to my head, is the whole Folkmore era.
Mm-hmm.
I think because those songs were such those albums were such a place of comfort for so many of us during the most difficult period of time that most of us have ever gone through in our entire lives. COVID was hard, and I think Taylor was very forthcoming in how difficult it was for her. So to come forward with 2 comforting, deep cut albums was something I just think really beautiful in bringing community together when we had to be spaced so far apart.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, I think that she was very much herself. She was stripped down. She had to only be herself during those eras, and what we did see of her seemed like very authentic English teacher-esque Taylor, and I love seeing that come through in her public persona.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even though she said it was fiction.
Yeah, but there's...
It's subjective.
Yeah.
It's all subjective. Dream Taylor Swift collaboration that hasn't happened yet.
Okay. I have probably been influenced by TikTok video edits for this one, but I am going to have to say something to do with Taylor Jenkins Reid's The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think it's so freaking powerful whenever someone does an edit and it's like that one line from the book that's like, they were all husbands, I'm Evelyn Hugo. And then it's just like, I know, like, no muse theory, but it's so good
it's
when they
so
show, like,
tailor-coded.
it's so tailor-coded. And I think it's, if she could even, like, write a song for that movie, if and when it ever comes out.
Well, and rumor has it her bestie Selena Gomez is going to play
That would
Evelyn
be
Hugo.
crazy.
So if she does...
Taylor's probably going to be involved.
Absolutely.
So that one is probably, like, my dream collaboration that I can think of right now.
That's a good one. And that's coming soon, hopefully. So, okay. And finally, we have 2 more.
Okay.
Which Taylor Swift bridge hits you the hardest?
Ooh, okay. 2 answers for this. Sorry, I can't just give a
No,
straight
you're
answer
fine.
on
I love
everything. Cruel Summer, because you just have to
That's
scream
the
that
one.
bridge. One of the best parts of my wedding was Whitney and I stood up on a table. We had everyone around us, and we requested that song to play, and we just screamed that bridge out, and everyone around us was doing it, and that was like maybe one of the most fun parts of the wedding, was just getting to yell those lyrics and then act out the, like, when like the smoke comes up during the Eras tour, we just like giggle because we like acted out whenever we're singing that part of the song. The second one is again, just between like Whitney and I, Hits Different bridge. We love the lyrics, especially when, and Taylor even said herself it was like one of her favorite bridges.
She performed it like 20 million
I
times.
know,
as a surprise
it's
song.
so cute too.
Yeah.
But the part where it's like, dreams of your hair and your stare, and so whenever we're listening to it, no matter what we're doing, Whitney and I always stop, we put down whatever we have in our hands so we can do like dreams part. And so, while it's not like a hard emotional hit, it is a bridge that hits me and like, that brings a smile to my face, even though the lyrics, when you really think about it, are like not like happy, yeah. But the vibes are like dreams,
The vibes are good.
Yeah.
Okay, and finally, if you could ask Taylor one question about her lyrics, what would it be? It wouldn't be about her muses.
Oh
Maybe
gosh, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be like a hypocrite and like go back on myself, but I do a little bit want to be like,
girl, who's this about?
who is okay? You know, like who, what? No, I will keep it lyric focused. If I had to ask about, or if I had to ask Taylor one question about her music, I think I would want to, and if it guaranteed a like honest answer, I would want to know what has been her favorite kind of music, I guess, to write. Like her favorite songs of hers that she's been able to do, and why. Like, because she's done such a large array of different kinds of songs.
Yeah.
And so I would just love to know, like, what truly, like, I'm very big on, like, finding your joy. Like, what were the songs that really, like, made her feel joyful when she wrote them and produced them and saw them out in the world? That's what I think I would want to know, is what of hers has brought her joy.
She needs a joy playlist in addition to her denial.
Her like grief
playlist.
depression
Yes,
playlist.
yes,
that some glitter gel pen joy would be really nice.
Yeah. Victoria, where can everyone pre-order the book?
Well, definitely through the Watkins Publishing website, but probably the easiest way to get there will be through my personal channels. So Viktoria Capek on Instagram, probably going to be the easiest one. I have a link tree that has a very, in big letters, Dear Reader pre-order here. So if you go there, you can find the link and you can pre-order through your bookstore of choice. Through a bigger one, I would recommend an independent bookstore, but that's just me.
Bookshop.org.
Yes, exactly. That is an option on there, to each their own, but that is going to be where you can do that.
Any upcoming events or signings? What do you got in the works? I saw you have something coming up.
We do. I have a few things. They're starting to like stack up a little bit more. So in June 18th, I'll actually be in New York, and I'm teaching a lecture for the organization Lectures on Tap. So that's really exciting. That's an organization that has started in New York, but it's just now started expanding to other cities where people go to a bar and they listen to a professor or expert teach a lesson. And so I'm actually teaching kind of a more emphasized version of the book. It's Dear Reader, How Taylor Swift Teaches Us to Read Classic Literature. And so I'll be doing that, and tickets are already sold out for that, which is like really cool for me. Sorry for everyone else. So that's a really fun one I'll be doing. And then in September, surrounding the actual book launch, there's a few things in the works. We haven't put information out about it yet, but it's not private. On September 9th, which is the day the book comes out, I will be doing a launch with Paper Hearts Bookstore, which is, of course, the original bookstore that helped us launch the class. So it's a big, beautiful, full circle moment. So we are in planning for something on September 9th with them. On September 12th, I will be working with Novel in Memphis, which is a bookstore there. And we're going to do a big Q&A, and it's going to be a whole Swiftie soiree event that people can RSVP for and come out for if you're in the Memphis area or you want to drive into the Memphis area. And then I
love
also,
going to Memphis.
yes, I mean, you should come. And it's a Friday night.
It's
like
you can go to Memphis.
You can make like a whole thing out of it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then another one that's in the works right now is Left Bank Books in St. Louis. So September 26th, I am looking at doing a Q&A at the bookstore. And then September 27th is really cool because they actually have a neighborhood pride event that weekend, Tower Grove Pride. And apparently Left Bank always has a table at that event. And I'm going to be their featured author, and I'm going to do signings at their Pride event that day. So it was really cool that they wanted to like honor me as like a Swiftie with the Q&A, and then they wanted to honor me being like a queer author.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be out there that weekend. So those are a few things we have in the works. Hopefully a few more pop-ups here and there. And when those come up, I will let you know and let the whole world know, because I want everyone to come to these classes and pop-ups. They're going to be so fun.
Yes, everyone come. Everyone pre-order the book. It comes out in September
9th.
September 9th. And thank you, Victoria, so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Yes,
This
so
has
fun.
been amazing.
It's been really fun.
Yes.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.